If you've been following what's been going on in the DCEU for any amount of time now, you probably would know that there's been so many different forms of talks happening across the universe of the DCEU in regards as to what direction they're looking to take this franchise going forward. And for a really long time, it appeared that there was going to likely be some major recasting for Superman, as we knew that Henry Cavill's contract was up and he was looking to work on other projects, and there weren't any immediate plans for Superman moving forward. And then there was kind of this pivot in the DCEU where we saw a lot of other films kind of take center stage and take on this focus. This of course all happened after the major backlash that went into the Justice League movie that had come out, and at one point there were even talks speculating that maybe Michael B. Jordan would be considered as the casting or recasting for Superman going forward. But then there was a bunch of timeline issues that would happen in this universe if they started changing up characters drastically, similar to what we're seeing happen with Batman, with Robert Pattinson taking over the role for that film and essentially a new reboot for that character. However, it is now looking like we might be seeing reports coming up that yes, Henry Cavill is going to possibly be back on board for the future of the DCEU, or for some extent or some sort of signing to reprise his role as the character that essentially kicked off the DCEU. Now, we've actually talked about reports a while back where we saw Henry Cavill talk about how he was disappointed in what ended up happening with the character, and he felt like there was a lot of story still to tell with him at the helm as the character. And this was kind of where it was left at. It was this ambiguous ending based off of just his interview and thoughts, but nothing was set in stone, nothing was being talked about or announced. And then just recently, a couple of weeks ago, everything changed when it looked like the Zack Snyder cut for Justice League kind of got this green light to go on HBO Max and have this premiere, with Warner Brothers set to put a ton of money into refilming and allowing Zack Snyder to finish the film and release it. Now, this is a huge fan if you're a fan of Zack Snyder's and you want to see what his original vision was for the movie before he had to drop out for personal reasons back during the original development. But with all of these talks of Warner Brothers putting a ton of money in, there's a lot of question as to whether or not some of the actors will return to do reshoots, scenes, and do scenes that were part of the vision that Zack Snyder originally had. So these alternate scenes could be implemented into the film. And with these talks, it is possible that we would see Henry Cavill return for these reshoots. And this could be the beginning to reopen this character or this actor into the DCEU, and we might actually get to see more instances of stuff like this happening. Now, we do know that while it was looking like for a while the DCEU was in this really rough spot, they did hit some good movies out of the park after the release of Justice League, as we saw that Aquaman did extremely well considering the character debuted in Justice League. And then we've seen a great Wonder Woman movie along with the sequel being highly anticipated. Shazam, which came out, did extremely well also. People are really excited for the upcoming Suicide Squad movie, and Birds of Prey did do well when it came to reviews, while its box office performance might not have been the best. But what's really interesting is it seems like Henry Cavill is extremely optimistic about the future of the Superman character. We actually saw him post several times on Instagram in regards to the future of the character and the franchise with the DCEU. He talked about how he was excited for the Zack Snyder cut to release. We also got a photo from him at the gym where he makes more Superman references, and it is really interesting to see what's going to end up happening if we're going to see Henry Cavill return as Superman. Now, also, if you guys remember, this would be a pretty big deal considering he was out the door completely just a couple of months back. When Shazam released in theaters last year, he wasn't even in the cameo appearance that they had with Superman. They cropped him at the neck because they didn't want people getting too used to seeing Henry Cavill as Superman in the case that they were going to have to recast moving forward, so he was cut out of the cameo altogether and they reshot something differently. So maybe things will be changing, and maybe we will see after the Zack Snyder cut is released, maybe there'll be a change of opinion. Maybe this could be the piece that fixes a lot of the problems that people have with the DCEU, and maybe we will finally see a interesting universe being formed, and an exciting one, kind of led by some of these greater films that have come out in the back half half of the existence of this universe. So what do you guys think of this possibility? Let us know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on for more videos like this, and we'll see you all next time with a brand new video. Bye guys.
I'm about to.
Hi everybody.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Hi.
See you guys.
Know anybody?